Shabbat Shalom v'Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom and a happy holiday of Shavuot. One of the most obvious and hardest concepts to not only learn, but completely integrate into who we are, into our psyche, is from the moment we are born, it is only a matter of time before we die. From the moment we are born, it is only a matter of how long we get to live on this earth before every single one of us will die. And that if we're going to die, that means that everybody we know and love will also die. Part of living life is to fully incorporate grief in all of its difficult, painful parts into our essence, our identity, and our understanding of life. Yizkor gives us one of the many ways to do that. As we remember others who have influenced our lives for good and for bad, we also remember our sadness and our pain. During Yizkor, we are given permission to sit with that sadness, to feel that pain, to remember, to laugh, to cry, to sit quietly, to think, to feel, reminisce, and honor those whose lives have shaped our own. This year, many of us cannot but help feel how fragile life is at this moment. The magnitude of human life lost to COVID-19, the incredible fear of being the next one to die. I know that many of you, like me, have that picture in your head of the New York Times page listing name after name, age after age, job, school after job, school. As overwhelming as that page is, it was only 1/100th of the people who have died in the United States. And that's only in the United States. I must admit that over the course of my career, my understanding of grief has changed, especially in the role grief has to play in our lives. When I started my career, I thought that grief was about a particular incident. You know, somebody died and I was grieving that person. I lost a job, I was grieving that job. It was a particular marriage dissolved, I was grieving that marriage. It was a particular situation that grief was a reaction to. And at that point, I thought it was just a feeling that one had to get through, hoping that the lessons in time would decrease the feelings of sadness and pain and allow all the other joyous feelings to come back. Later on, I realized how much grief built on grief. That grieving one person is almost impossible. That grieving one incident, one circumstance is almost impossible. For grief taps into all of our losses along the way. And if we have a privilege to have lived long, then we have the privilege to have many losses. And therefore our grief becomes magnetized, bigger, every single time we lose somebody new, because it's built on all the other losses. More recently, I've started to think about how we can live our grief constructively into our lives. What do I mean by that? Some of you have heard me say that we keep somebody we love alive by living them into our lives. When we miss the jokes someone used to tell, the tzedakah they used to give, the deeds of loving kindness they used to perform, the dedication to family they had, the incredible work accomplishments they achieved. When we miss those aspects of a person, we should do them more. It's not only enough to miss them and they're gone. We should miss them and figure out, maybe I'm not them, maybe I don't have that skill, but how can I achieve a piece of it, a portion of it? When we do that, and we do so in their name, if not only in our own head, whether it's in our own head or out loud doesn't really matter. When we do so in their name, we live them into our lives. We bring them alive. We breathe life into their name. And it's as if they are influencing our lives still, even though they have passed, just like they did when they were alive in this dimension with us. And this year, our grief is not only for ourselves and those people we knew, but also for our country and our world, the many people who have died during this horrible pandemic. How can we breathe life into their names, making sure they did not die in vain? For many of you, the person you are remembering was alive or born soon after 1920. I wonder what their experience of that pandemic was. How did they get through it? They didn't even have Zoom or electricity, or even most of them didn't have a phone. How did they manage? How did they survive? What were the scars that informed their life? What would they say now to us today if they were here? There's a wonderful prayer written by Morris Adler that I would like to share with you right now. It's entitled, "Shall I Cry Out in Anger?" Shall I cry out in anger, O God, because your gifts are mine but for a while? Shall I forget the blessing of health, the moment that gives way to illness and pain? Shall I be ungrateful for the moments of laughter, the seasons of joy, the days of gladness and festivity? When tears cloud my eyes and darken the world, and my heart is heavy within me, shall I blot from my mind the love I have known and in which I have rejoiced? Shall I grieve for the youth that is gone, once my hair is gray and my shoulders bent, and forget days of vibrancy and power? Shall I, in days of adversary, fail to recall the hours of joy and glory you once granted me? Shall I, in turmoil of need and anxiety, cease blessing you for the peace of former days? Shall the time of darkness put out forever the glow of life in which I once walked? Give me the vision, O God, to see and feel that embedded deep in each of your gifts is the core of eternity, undiminished and bright, an eternity that survives the dread hours of affliction and misery. Those I have loved, though now beyond my view, have given form and quality to my being, and they live on unfailingly, feeding my heart and mind and imagination. They have led me into the wide universe I continue to inhabit, and their presence is more vital to me than their absence. What you give, O Lord, you take not away, and bounties once granted shed their radiance evermore. May everyone you miss this Shavuot, this Yizkor, this day, this week, this month, this year, enrich our lives today as they have done yesterday. May we all get the support we need, and may all their names be for a blessing today and always. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.